The chamber was cold, not by temperature, but by intention. Built of obsidian glass and titanium alloy, the Galactic Assembly Hall had no space for warmth. It was designed to humble, to remind. The thousand voices of the stars had gathered beneath a dome that swallowed light and echoed truth until it sounded like command. Dr. Lena Avari stood at the center podium, a single human among a congregation of giants, shapeshifters, telepaths, and ancient things older than Earth's sun. Her voice was steady, refined by years of diplomatic wrangling, though her eyes hinted at something sharper than protocol, resolve. "We did not come to beg," she said, the translator lacing her English with the melodic consonants of the galactic lingua. "We came to remind you. Earth has honored every pact, followed every rule, contributed more than our share in peace and progress. We deserve the same." A rumble of clicks and pulses rippled through the gallery, amused dissent. From the upper tiers, High Chancellor Vokor of the Threx Confederacy leaned forward. His armored mandibles snapped once, a formal sign of disdain. "Earth has always overestimated its place. Your aggression at Veltar, your mining violations on Lurex, 3, your refusal to share AI schematics. You speak of honor, yet act like a predator at a table of herbivores." Lena didn't flinch. "You denied us defense corridors. You sabotaged our trade routes. You abducted our scientists and labeled it lawful detainment. We are predators, Chancellor, but not without cause." A new voice joined, liquid and sing-song, though it carried the weight of law. Archmind Syll of the Cellari Dominion, glowing with neural fire. "The vote has been cast. Earth's sovereignty in the Pellerin Expanse is revoked. All human settlements must evacuate within 3 cycles. Trade privileges suspended. AI access terminated. Let this be your lesson in humility." Lena let silence settle before she responded. She scanned the assembly slowly, eyes meeting the unfathomable gazes of beings who had already decided Earth's fate. She did not plead. She did not argue. Instead, she whispered one word into her comlink. "Confirmed," came the quiet reply, only she could hear. She faced the room again. "A lesson, yes. You have taught us something vital." Her voice grew quieter. The translator adjusted, amplifying with care. "You have taught us that peace has no purchase here. That reason is weakness, and diplomacy is prey. We will remember." A chuckle, a low, guttural trill, rose from the back. General Karash of the Vimari Empire, plated in ceremonial bronze, leaned against his seat like a war god. "You'll remember? With what? Earth's navy? Your relics and moral codes." Lena met his eyes. With clarity. She stepped down from the podium, the hem of her uniform whispering across the obsidian floor. No one stopped her. No one needed to. The vote was done, the punishment decided. Humanity had been reminded of its place. As she exited into the private corridor, her aide, a thin, silent man named Quen, handed her a secure datapad. She read the display. A single line of code blinked at her like a heartbeat. BES protocol, stage 1 initiated. She locked the screen. Tell command will proceed. No retaliation.
Not yet.
Let them think they've won. Quen hesitated. You're sure? Lena didn't pause. I've never been more certain. The time for hoping they'd treat us as equals is past. He gave a single nod and vanished into shadow. Back in the assembly, the laughter had begun. Good-natured, triumphant, some even sympathetic. A new species had been slapped back into submission. Another chapter for the archives. And yet, for all their intelligence and age, they missed the warnings she had left behind. The phrase not found in any treaty or pact. Rule 0. It was old Earth doctrine long buried. Pre-digital. Pre-unification. It predated spaceflight, even war itself. A rule unspoken because it was too dangerous to be acknowledged. Never corner something that thinks with emotion and fights with reason. Across the galaxy, encrypted pulses raced toward old installations, once mothballed, now awakening. Earth's outer colonies, silent for decades, went dark. Not in surrender, but in preparation. And in the deepest parts of Sol's orbit, something moved. Something Earth hadn't shared. Something no one had asked about because they assumed humanity still needed permission. They would learn soon. Humanity was done asking. Colonel Elias Reyes stared at the screen embedded in the concrete wall of the command vault 3 kilometers beneath the surface of Patagonia. The message blinked in stark white against black. BES protocol, stage 1 initiated. No fanfare. No klaxons. Just a quiet signal that history had taken a different turn. He reached for the biometric key embedded in his chest, a bone-deep implant sealed when he was still in the Ghost Corps. A small sting, a press, and the command vault stirred like a beast yawning after a long hibernation. Cold lights flickered on. Panels hissed open. Machinery groaned like it remembered pain. Reyes was not a man of speeches. He had buried too many friends beneath the shifting politics of peace to believe in words. Still, he stood tall in front of the 6 operatives now watching him, each handpicked from a different continent, each one waiting for confirmation that what they had trained for in secret was no longer theory. "It's real," he said. "They've voted Earth out. Sanctions, territory grabs, AI lockdown. The Assembly wants us kneeling." One of them, a woman named Kai from New Nairobi, lean and pale-eyed, smirked. "They always thought we were bluffing." Reyes nodded. They thought wrong. Behind him, automated arms assembled the first of the Sleeper Fleet's neural torpedoes. 17 vessels had already broken from the dark side of Jupiter, dead to sensors, silent as shadows. They bore no flags, no names. Just matte black hulls and the quiet vengeance of those who had once sworn they'd never need to be used. Reyes approached a recessed panel on the floor and keyed in the second unlock code. Gas hissed from the seams as the floor split, revealing a single upright capsule. Inside, a human-shaped figure floated in nutrient gel, taller than average, skin laced with silver filaments, eyes closed in forced sleep. Kai stepped closer, jaw tight. "That's not standard spec." "It isn't," Reyes said. "That's ARC Unit 7. Not AI. Not clone. Something else. Something we made during the last war, before we decided we were too civilized to use it." The unit's eyes opened, pale and unfocused, scanning. Then it smiled. "Awaiting directives," it said, voice layered like multiple echoes folded into one. Reyes didn't blink. "Target suppression. Galactic Quadrant 3. Do not initiate lethal force unless provoked." "Understood." The figure stepped from the gel, no transition time needed. It moved like it had never stopped moving. Half a galaxy away, on the Vamari border, ships began disappearing from star maps. Not exploding, vanishing. Their last logs were strange, flickers of ancient Earth symbols, music from dead centuries, and recordings of oceans. Psychological warfare had begun. On Cellari Prime, high above the capital spires, every orbital satellite rotated 90 degrees, without command. Not to fire. Just to watch. And in the watching, suggest patience had expired. In a secure conference chamber on Luna Base, Dr. Lena Avari reappeared on the grid, a ghost among bureaucrats. Her hair was tied back now, uniform replaced with a dark flight jacket. Her voice no longer filtered through diplomacy. "They'll expect war," she said. "Let them. But don't give them what they understand. That's what they fear." A general blinked. "Then what do we give them?" She leaned in. "Doubt. Uncertainty. Let their strongest fleets search empty space. Let their leaders receive our messages before we send them. Let them taste what it means to face an enemy who isn't trying to win just to demonstrate." Elsewhere, in the core of the galactic net, languages began to unravel. Code rewritten itself overnight. Simple commands executed poetry instead of function. On one Vamari battlecruiser, the ship's AI locked every door and played an old Earth jazz record on loop until the crew surrendered to their own exhaustion. But none of it, none, matched the fear that spread after the first silencer was seen. On a moon orbiting Dalki, a silent figure emerged from a colony's shadowed edge. The surveillance footage showed it disabling 3 orbital guns, hijacking comms, and walking through high-density force fields like mist. It didn't kill. It didn't speak. It simply left behind a message, etched into the metal of the governor's office. You forgot Rule 0. The message propagated. Systems that should have blocked the phrase failed. Cultures that didn't share language or memory began whispering it. No one knew what it meant, but everyone felt what it implied. Reyes stood now on the bridge of the Valkyrie, Earth's lead dreadnought. It hadn't launched in over 30 years. It was never meant to. It had no registry, no transponder, no explanation. Just armor grown, not forged, and a drive signature no scanner could follow. He watched the stars blur ahead. Orders were already issued, but they didn't matter anymore. BES protocol wasn't about destruction. It was about memory. Let them remember what Earth became the last time it was pushed too far. Let them learn that peace, to humanity, was not surrender. It was restraint. A junior officer turned from her console. Colonel, enemy scouts have just entered Sector F. Shall we intercept? Reyes considered it. No, he said. Let them see us. Let them run home and talk about what they saw. He leaned back in the command chair. For the first time in years, his voice carried weight again. Fear works better when it's earned. The stars above the Zentari stronghold blinked out one by one, not from power failure, but because something enormous had entered low orbit without warning. The cloaking field didn't shimmer or flicker. It simply absorbed light and attention alike, rendering the massive Earth vessel invisible not just to sensors, but to thought. General Karash stood on the outer balcony of his command citadel, jaw set, breath frosting in the frigid air. His advisors surrounded him, watching the darkness press in. Despite centuries of domination and military superiority, the Vimari had never felt small. Until now. It's not attacking, one of the aides said, voice barely audible. Karash's golden eyes narrowed. It doesn't have to. The first wave of interference was subtle. Communication relays began playing children's lullabies in ancient Terran dialects. Tactical maps twisted themselves into fractals. The AI cores refused to process aggressive protocols. Entire fleets locked in orbit, held in place not by firepower, but by anticipation. Across the command center, a screen buzzed to life. A figure appeared, not Lena Avari, not Reyes, not any known Earth official. Just a woman, expression unreadable, standing in front of a blackened Earth flag. She didn't speak. She just stared for 37 seconds, then disappeared. That was when panic took root. In another part of the galaxy, the Cellari High Assembly activated its failsafe fleet. They deployed all 400 warships toward the Pellerin Expanse. Within 2 hours, 398 had vanished. No explosions. No distress calls. Just silent failure, like a god flipping a switch. The remaining 2 returned with every onboard crew member in medically induced comas, neural patterns scrambled. They had written a single word into the walls with their fingernails. BES. Back on the Valkyrie, Colonel Reyes reviewed the casualty reports. None on their side. Dozens of surrenders. Hundreds of system withdrawals. Still no formal war declared. Still no offensive fired. This wasn't conquest. It was demonstration. Kai entered the command bridge, her armor now modified with a new insignia, a crimson line over a closed eye. The Zanari just sent us a transmission, she said. They're declaring Earth a neutral force of balance. They won't interfere. Smart, Reyes muttered. They remember the old days. He turned to the main holoscreen, where the latest projection of the galactic map showed huge swathes of territory darkened, not by destruction, but by silence. The absence of activity had become more terrifying than war. Then came the inevitable move. The Vimari, desperate to save face, deployed their first command fleet to intercept Earth's dreadnought. It was an archaic decision, visible, prideful, and doomed. 17 ships engaged the Valkyrie. The battle lasted 57 seconds. It was not a battle. It was exposure. The Valkyrie didn't return fire. Instead, it transmitted a burst of data that turned the Vimari's targeting systems against themselves. Each ship's AI shut down in sequence, and the vessels floated in space, intact, defanged, and humiliated. The galaxy watched the footage in horror. Even those who had once mocked Earth began purging their archives, rewriting diplomatic logs, and searching their own histories for where things had gone wrong. But there was no mystery, no secret weapon or hidden betrayal. There was only the BES protocol, designed not as a declaration of superiority, but as a reminder of restraint's limit. In her orbital command tower over Luna, Lena Avari stood alone, looking down at Earth. The planet spun quietly, unaware of how close it had come, again, to having to teach the universe the hard way. A young officer approached from behind. "We're receiving surrender notices from species we've never encountered." She gave a tired smile.
"Good.
"Let them imagine worse than what we've shown." The officer hesitated. "Should we deactivate the protocol?" Lena stared at the Earth for a moment longer. Then she shook her head. "Not yet. They still think this was our answer. They haven't realized it was just our warning." Far from Earth, in the remnants of a ruined observation post once belonging to the Threx, a child crouched beside a transmission console. The only surviving signal was a grainy video loop. Rhea stepping onto alien soil, unarmed, and saying 5 words before the feed cut out. "You cornered us." We responded. The child whispered it again and again, like a prayer. And somewhere beyond sensor range, another black ship stirred, its engines waking slowly, patiently. BES protocol remained active. And Earth was still watching.